Everybody, welcome to Leon's Chainsaw Parts and Repair. Today we're going to look at a carburetor that comes off of a 360. I don't have the saw, the carb was loose. Some stuff I salvaged from Jim's. This is a Walbro HDC-46, okay? Date stamp 9 of 1977. I was going to say late 70s, 360. This could also work on a 350. Part of how you know that this is an early style is take a peek. We've got the twist down type air filter cover, and we have the atmospheric vent that pops up through the air filter. That's also how you know you need an early air filter with that extra grommet on it. Okay, let's go ahead and dig into this thing. Alright, before we actually start tearing anything apart, this is what it's going to look like as you come off the saw. And actually, technically, if you've got directional, that's it. So your air filter has that extra grommet up close to the fuel tank to accommodate this. This plate has no stud because the nut in the air filter cover lines up into there and it twists and locks down. If you wanted to use this on a later saw, you'd have to do a couple of things. You'd have to use a later saw plate that has a stud if you are using the air filter cover that came with it, and then use an early style filter or change this cover out. If you're trying to match things up, those are some of the things that you can look for. So we're going to get this out of the way. Don't lose that little air filter ring. It'll cost you more than it should to replace it. We can leave the grommet in place on this. One more note. Obviously by 1977, Homelite had figured out their intake system. The boot and this bushing and everything changed numerous times up to this point. But this is what they wanted you to convert to, okay? This style right here, where it's completely rectangular with the little round bump outs. There's a gasket between the carb and this plate, and then this snaps right into the boot. I shouldn't say snap, it slips into the boot, and that's what seals everything up. 90% of the time or more, the gasket and this bushing are stuck to the back of the carburetor. Accept that gift. That is a gift, okay? Do not pry this off. You're going to destroy the gasket and have to replace this whole thing. Again, not as cheap as it should be anymore. Just leave it there. There's no reason to take it off. If there's gooey old boot on it, like there was on this one, clean it up from right here. Just clean it up. Leave that thing in place. Don't screw yourself. Alright, let's get the fuel pump cover off. Again, because it's an HDC, this is not going to be difficult. Oh, I love finding cool stuff. All right, let's do our diaphragm test. Shouldn't be able to play a tune on those flappers, so we know that's bad. Take a peek at that. That's pretty cute. I'll get you in as close as I can. Oopsie doopsie, there we go. Take a peek at all this. What's that doing in there? Does that belong? I don't think so. That's not okay. So, is that why this carb was pulled off and left to sit somewhere? I don't know. But I can tell you one thing, that would not have flowed fuel worth a poo. So let's go ahead and just pop. Yep, goodbye. And look at that, there's even some crap down underneath here. Wow. Well, that's interesting. I haven't seen that in quite some time. Now, we need to clean it out better than that, obviously. But we kind of know what we're working with now. A mess. Now those are atmospheric vents right there to allow things to operate properly, so it's not abnormal to see that sawdust. And the way the filtration system works on these things, it filters from the bottom up. So it's going to suck sawdust around the carb. That's okay. It's meant to do that. You've got to understand how your air filter's working. All right, let's go to the other side here. Pop this apart. And then we will know exactly what we're looking at. Okay. Oh, yeah. I know you all heard that. Crunchy diaphragm. That's no good. All right, it's wet because I cleaned this off. And it came through the atmospheric vent. That's why that is wet. And that's okay. All right. This is going to be a good example. Take note. You've got two fuel feed hoses, or holes right here. All right. Anybody remember what style metering plate gasket or circuit plate gasket it's going to need? It's not the Z shape. I'll give you that clue. Arm moves. Felt like that needle might have been momentarily stuck. Nah, hard to say, not knowing. Let's pop the circuit plate loose. And see what we find under there. That came loose pretty easily. Okay, not so bad. Not so bad. Before I disturb anything, see, I said non-Z-shaped gasket. The Z would have gone down through here, but since this has a dual feed, we use this style gasket. Important detail. On Homelite saws, this is one of the few that uses that I've run across. All right, so we can see some residue in here of what I'm going to guess is crap that made it past the screen for some reason, which is absolutely not that common. So I don't know necessarily what was going on with this carb. Alright, I don't want to blow carburetor cleaner all over that check valve and make a mess. That would not be a good idea. I've been working with a guy who unfortunately did that. Let's do our suck blow test on this. Alright, hose, stay down. Perfect. Alright. This is going to be a relatively simple rebuild. I'm going to clean everything up. I'm going to peel this old circuit plate gasket off. Could you reuse it? Yeah, probably. You could. And it wouldn't hurt a damn thing. But we're in here, and I want to do it right. So, I'll show you what happens. Well, this one is not a good example. This is coming off easily. A lot of times, these will have gotten a little moisture, and you'll find rust in various spots under the gasket. And that's why I run it over the wire wheel to clean all that crap up. This one came off very easily. It didn't even leave gasket residue down in the chamber itself, which makes me think this may have been replaced at some point. But anyway, I'll get this stuff all cleaned up and we will come back. Okay, we're going to use our rotary version of the K10 kit so that I can go ahead and use that up. I think this is one of the ones I bought for comparison purposes. Okay, so again, this is ultra simple. Being an HDC, pretty damn nice. We know the check valve is good. Check valve doesn't come in that kit. You got to buy it separately. But let's go ahead and reassemble. Oh, one thing before we start reassembling. Because this carburetor had a indication that something wasn't working real well in the screening, we're going to go ahead and chase our low-speed passages, which are right here, okay? They're just little tiny drilled passages. They're not blind. They go out into carb throat, and as the throttle plate opens, they become visible and start drawing fuel. Now, I'm getting no indication that those are plugged. And they're not. Okay. Just one of those things. Before you put it together, it's a very quick test. Alright, we're going to, again, use the old needle. There's no buildup, no contamination visible there. Spring looks fine. Doesn't appear to be distorted. Before I get any further, we're going to drop the appropriate circuit plate gasket in. And there's one more view of that, in case there's any question. But again, it's only because it has the dual fuel feed. One for the high and low. It's not sharing it. Alright, spring's in place. Hold that inlet lever down. Hang the needle. And we'll drop it into place. And always check to make sure that the spring has indexed into that indentation properly. This one did. Now this kit from Oregon does not include a new fuel screen. That's not going to work for me. We are going to put a new fuel screen in. In fact, we're going to do that right now because I want to button up that other side so that we can pressure test this assembly and make sure that she is actually good. Okay, for me, the easiest way to do this is, at least out of my socket set, is a 3/16 socket. I'll try to go straight down with it. Booyah. Perfect. That can be incredibly frustrating, especially if you do it wrong once, and then it's distorted. Then it sucks. Alright, this gasket is largely self-explanatory, but you don't want to put it down first. You don't want to be dumb like I was just about to do. There we go. That was sitting in the drawer a little crooked. No, 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 no. Mucho bettero. I'll take back what I said about being largely self-explanatory. Okay. You do want to make sure that your pins, your alignment dowels, actually drop through the gasket into the carburetor. Looks like they did. Get this side tightened down and we'll put a little pressure on it and see how she does. Alright, good and tight. Okay. That's a pretty fast leak down. I don't like that. Why is it doing that? Where is it leaking? It's a fast leak, whatever it is. Wow. Is it really all out of that gasket? I don't think so. Nope, the needle's leaking a little bit too. Oh, it is that. Wow. Well, that gasket is pretty porous. That's not cool. Alright. Now we haven't had one like this for a while. Normally I can live with a little bit of gasket leakage. That is just excessive beyond belief. That I can't live with. If it was just a little bit, I'd pump a little fuel in there and let it swell itself up. It's not just a little bit. I'm going to give that a dose of gasket sealant. There is no excuse for that. If it wasn't for Permatex, I don't know where I'd be. Let's try this again. It's going to naturally be a little bit weaker in the sealing area back by this impulse port because of where it's drilled, how close to the edge it is. You can get a proper screwdriver on this and we'll get it good and tight. And in some of my old videos you've seen me replace that with a hex head where I can really reef on it. But I don't want to damage anything. Alright, let's try that again. Much better. Alright, we're going to put it to 9. See if we can assemble it. Inlet arm looks like it's sitting a little high, I'll be honest. I wouldn't be shocked if that releases when I try to set it down, but we'll see. Don't need soapy water on that. Okay, here goes nothing. It didn't. Okay, good. So that spring obviously has a pretty low pop-off. And I'll bet that gasket still has a little bit of leakage. It will pump up or swell up with fuel once it's used. Again, you prefer gasket material be a high enough quality that that's not an issue, but what I prefer and what I get these days, well, they don't align. That's still not at 0, by the way. I know the gauge face is pretty jacked up looking, but it is not at 0. It's still holding a little pressure, so I'm not going to lose a lot of sleep over this carburetor. It'll run just fine. No, it won't now. That last screw. Look at that. It took to the last screw, you son of a gun. I'm telling you. Watch now. The last screw was enough so that inlet lever is just a little bit too high. I don't know that I've ever been able to demonstrate that before. That was good. Alright, let's release this. Get that the hell out of the way. And we'll get out our gauge, because it would have told us that, I'm pretty sure. And we'll try getting the camera to focus. Now, let's see. SDC, HDC. If you see that lever move, uh-oh. I saw it move. Only a little. But it moved. Alright, now this is going to be tricky. Trying to get this to bend. So what I'm going to actually do is hold the lever down at the back and try and bend it from the front here. And I think I got it. It's not touching. Let's try that again. If I needed to make any more of an adjustment, I'd have to take the circuit plate loose again and do it that way. But I don't want to encourage folks to go crazy on bending those, because that's how you break them. And those captured levers and circuit plates are made of a material known as unobtainium these days. Short of finding a used carburetor you can swipe one out of, and that effectively takes another carburetor out of circulation. So just be damned careful. Tiny, tiny little bends. Don't go nuts with them. Alright, I'm not going to pump this up until I screw it all the way down. I'm going to live life dangerous. Okay, moment of truth. Nope. There she is. That's what we needed to see. So, again, I know not everybody's going to have a pressure gauge. But boy, can they save you some hassle. Can they really save you some hassle? Because that looked good right up until the end. Right up until that last screw got tightened. I have had that happen before. I've just never caught it on camera with the carb. So, there you go. There's a rebuild of a Walbro HDC-46. Homelite's 360. Could be on a 350 as well. Not too difficult. A few little things along the way that got us, but nothing too terrible. So, hope this helped. Catch you guys in the next one.